to be able, from you, to get ideas. Because we have a saying that says that no one man can claim to have the answers or the solutions to all problems. You can also give me an input. You can give me ideas. You can shape policy in this country. But that can only happen through discourse. Through discourse of people who respect one another, who don't fear one another. Yeah? Who say, I will be able to speak my mind because as a Kenyan, I'm entitled to speak my mind on my development agenda or the development agenda of a country, irregardless of my political affiliation, irregardless of who I will or will not vote for in the next election. And what we need to remove is the fear that has been put in people that only so-and-so or so-and-so is going to be the mouthpiece of this region or of these people. No. You yourselves have ideas and you should be able to be freely to express them. I will learn from your own experiences. I would welcome opportunity for me and my colleagues to come and visit. I would also welcome you to come and visit us also, you know, in where we come. Let these trips help us recognize that despite the fact that we come from different communities, that in itself is a gift from God. And that is why we say, you know, let us enjoy our rich cultural diversity. It is something to be enjoyed, not to be afraid. Yeah? Like when I stand and I say, yes, I'm a Kikuyu. Kwani, I am a Kikuyu. You know, and it's a fact. But that does not deny me the ability to be a Kenyan, because it is my cultural heritage which I am proud of. There is nothing to say somebody comes from Nyanza. That is your heritage. You should be proud of it. And we should be able to share experiences to see what we can gain from one another. Because that is the only way to grow a true nation. Na Mswahili alisema zamani sana ya kwamba mkosa mila ni mtumwa. And that I hope is what we have started today. The ability for you to know that I have nothing against anybody from any particular part of this country. I have nothing. My heart, my demeanor, everything in my soul does not allow me to have that kind of an attitude. Anybody who knows me from my work experience, even when I was in private sector, all my entities, people come from every part of this country. Because what we have learned to cherish is not where somebody comes from, but what is in the person's head, the mind, because that is what grows a nation. And that is what we have learned to respect. And that is what I hope we will be able to achieve together. Let this be a beginning of good things. Let this be a beginning of sharing. Let this be a beginning of learning to respect. If I have said or I say something that you feel, no, that was wrong, feel free to stand up here and challenge me and say, Mheshimiwa, hapo umefanya makosa. Kwa sababu ndani Mungu hapo. Hakuna. Everybody makes mistakes. The most important thing for a human being is how do you learn to adapt and to correct the mistakes that we make on this earth. That is what being human is all about. For me, was to come and hear from you, to be enriched by your own thoughts, to be enriched by the agenda that you have for this country. And some of the ideas that you're raising are not necessarily ideas that are misplaced. If, for example, as Bwana was saying about the fertilizer plant, I am not saying, because I am not an expert, that Nyanza is the most ideal location to place it, because I don't know, it's a question of raw materials, it's a question of all those type of issues. But as a person who's been in business, it is indeed most ideally located from the point of view that if it were there, it would not just serve the Kenyan market, it would be enable us to serve Tanzania, we would be able to serve Uganda, we would be able to serve Rwanda, we would be able to serve the entire region. So from that point of view, I can see it makes sense. But we must also look at it from the other point of view, which we must hear from the experts, which I am not, as to whether in terms of raw materials, etc., 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 whether that is the most ideal ama kama ni pwani, mimi, you know, those things would require experts to tell us the most ideal. But surely, from a purely marketing point of view, that would be the most ideal. And there is a lot of rich potential resource in that province, in that area. Those counties have tremendous potential. For sure, if we as Kenyans were, for example, to continue now with the new airport coming into play, with the East African community and the way it's going, there is no reason why Kisumu cannot be the regional headquarters for business for the entire region, because it is located conveniently. It is not just necessarily the lake, there are also other resources. The area is undoubtedly very fertile. Yeah? There is a lot of possibilities that we can do. One of the agendas that we started even with the economic stimulus program was to ensure that let us get away from this issue of saying that a budget must be that this year we're only focusing on this area, this area. Let us try and find a way of diversifying and enabling us to do projects and to be in every corner of the country at the same time, so that we remove this feeling, this thought that development is a factor of who is in government. That if we are to do a hospital, let us do a hospital in every constituency, so that every constituency feels we are part of this country, we are part of this government. If we are talking about markets, let's do a market in every constituency. If we're talking about schools of excellence, let's do one in every constituency. That way the country develops and moves together. And as we do that, then we can now become more region specific. What does this area, what can we focus on? What are the potentials of this area? So we focus on those potentials to be able to create jobs for our young men and women. Yeah? You're talking about unemployment. Unemployment is a plague not just in Nyanza, but even in our own region. It is the same problem. We must find a way of gainfully employing our young men and women. Failure to do so is for sure planning for a major disaster in this country. And that's not something I think any of us would like to see. So, enrich me through this forum. And I want to hope that what Wanaoloa said is actually going to be true. That this is going to be the first of many. That we will be able to meet, not just in hotel rooms, we'll be able to remove our ties and go down to the field. So that even when we are planning ourselves, we're able to plan with the knowledge of having seen firsthand for ourselves and having shared together. That is the hope I have. That is the dream I have for this country. That one day, it will not be that I have to have somebody to accompany me, to take me to Olo's home. I can come myself and go. Olo can have the freedom to go to Gatundu without me and feel welcome. The day we achieve that dream is the day this country will prosper. The day we are able to leave the baggage that we have carried for a very long time is the day we shall be able to achieve the dreams that we share for ourselves and that which we aspire for our children and our children's children. I pray God that today is that beginning, that we shall be able to move together, and that as we ourselves are moving around the country, I am hoping that we will have colleagues from your region to move with us, because it is important for Kenyans to see these people are together. Kenya is together. Kenya is together. Kenya is together. It's not necessary that Uhuru must be president. It's not necessary. What is necessary is the people that you work with, the people that you share with. So long as one of you is there, all of you are there. And that is the most important thing. We move away from this attitude that it must be me. It doesn't have to be me. Kwani ukipigwa na gari kesho, does that mean Kenya comes to an end? No. It must move on. It must move on. So we must have that attitude that we can work for posterity. We must have that attitude that it doesn't necessarily have to be me. But whoever it is somebody who carries
and who shares in our aspirations.